So, in this life, is it possible to have peace with other people? We're going to think about that today on Now at Devotions from Trinity Lutheran here in Cyrus. It is been an early and very cold winter here so far. That's going to break pretty soon. But the cold came in hard this last week, and it's blowing like a banshee today. And this week, it is the second week of Advent, and we are thinking about peace. There are 4 candles on the Advent wreath, and this year we're kind of focusing on that. And last week we talked about hope, but this week we are talking about peace. Next week will be joy, and the week after that will be love. And these are all things that Christians firmly believe are offered to us by Jesus. And particularly at Christmas, the incarnation, Jesus, God becoming one of us, is a time where that point that we could have peace is powerfully made. I would like to first say that that is not an obvious point. It's not a point that just leaps out at you and says, oh, there was God who decided to become a person and then died on a cross, and that means peace with other people? How does that work? Because to me, what that looks like is the world remained not peaceful and he was a victim of that world. And that is accurate. But if we dig a little deeper, you can see how this might be the case. The world we live in is not peaceful. That being said, we live in a peaceful place, kind of. I mean, there isn't active war and fighting, but there's a big split between those who have enough and those who don't, those who have everything they need and those who struggle to get by, and those who have way more than everybody else. And to be honest, I think when we ask the question of peace, maybe the first question we need to ask is, how can you have peace when some people have enough and some don't have enough? Often, historically, in society after society, place after place, humans make systems that are unfair, where some people have a lot, some people don't. And a lot of times in those societies, we come up with a story about that. Why these people have more and why these people don't. And usually it's a good, bad story, right? Like, well, these people are good and those people are bad. Or these people make good choices and those people make bad choices. Or God is blessing these people more and God is judging those people more. Like, this is a very common theme societally. And it's a theme that God really despises. It's a theme again and again in the prophets. Like this week, we'll hear it from Micah and from Malachi, in Isaiah, in Amos and Hezekiah. And then later on with Jesus too, that your goodness or badness is something that has nothing to do with your access to resources in human systems. And Jesus makes this point again and again. And further, he goes on to say, in his actions, he goes to the cross for all people. He forgives all who ask forgiveness. All who follow him, he provides for. He levels the playing field dramatically. That's what Mary says. You lift up the lowly. That's what Elizabeth says. That's what Zechariah, Simeon, and Anna all say. That God has lifted up the lowly. And Jesus has a special concern for the poor. As we think about peace this year, might I suggest to you that the peace Jesus is offering us is peace in our heart, but more importantly, peace with other people who have more or less. We don't have to look at them as competitors, those who are stealing from us or who are better or worse than us. Rather, we are okay. God has provided for us. And because we have been provided for, because God has said, you are good, we don't have to name them bad, dangerous, or evil. Instead, we can love and serve them, which is what Jesus calls us to do. The peace that is offered at Christmas is that God became one of us, and thus all people are now valued by God. I'm Pastor Chris, signing off for now.